Here you can see it start to move. I don't have enough room in my garage to have a workbench. And the other day I was trying to cut a piece of copper tubing by holding one end with alligator clamps on the edge of my trash can, which has wheels, so it's super wobbly, and then trying to hacksaw the other end off, and it wasn't going very well. My neighbor walked by and said, "What are you doing?" He goes, "There's two things you need to get right away," and I got them. So today in this video, I'm gonna review both of those items. So two of them. The first one is this. This is the WORX 20-volt, 3-inch mini cutter. In other words, they call it the chopper. This thing is amazing. I'm gonna show you how it works, all the details, and then we're going to cut through three different things. A piece of very thin plastic. We're gonna cut through this copper coupling, which is thick, and we're gonna cut through this thick piece of PVC pipe. And the other product are these folding, clamping sawhorses, which get super flat and come with a whole bunch of features that I'm gonna point out, as well as this clamp, which is super handy. And the reason I'm testing these two products together is because for me, these two things make sense together. The sawhorses give you a stable place to work, and even if you don't have a lot of storage, because they fold up flat and they're lightweight, even though they can hold a combined 1,000 pounds. And the mini cutter gives you a compact cordless tool for mini cutting jobs. I'm gonna show you all the details of the cutter, how to set it up, how to switch the blades. That'll let you know everything that I like, and if there's something I don't like, I'll let you know that as well. That way you can decide if this is a good idea for your garage, your workshop, or your DIY projects. And here's the real question. Is this little cutter actually useful, or does it just look like a very fun tool to own? Let's start with the sawhorses, because these are what turn a random garage corner into an impromptu workstation. These come in a 2-pack, and what makes them different than other sawhorses is that they include bar clamps, which I'll show you how to use in a moment, a tray down here to put some of your tools, tape measures, or what have you, screwdriver, holes in here for slotted tools where you can put a screwdriver. It's got, on both ends here, it's got cords where you can wrap cords around your saws or whatever corded tools you might be using. And it's got some bench dogs right here to help you hold your materials in place. The setup is super simple. You can see how thin they are. All you got to do to open them up is pull them apart. And once that center piece is flat, you're good to go. In a moment, we're going to take these outside and use our cutting tool to cut some of the pipes I showed earlier. But what's great about having sawhorses is that you can put these as far apart as you need to, or as close together as you need to. For what we're doing today, I actually only need one of these, even though I'm going to set up both side by side so you can get an idea of how it looks. Now, the main reason I chose these sawhorses over the other ones that I've seen on the market are these clamps right here. Now, in storage, these have a little spot where they hold in place. They hold in place fairly well. If you jerk it, this can pop out. But once you take this out, if you want to use it, the way you do so is this. All you got to do is squeeze this lever right here, and that allows you to freely slide this end back and forth, and you can do the same with the other end. To put it into place, you're going to take this little knob right here, these little two little screw heads that stick out. You put them into the slot here, and there is a little groove that you find, and once it's in there, you slide it this way. Now you're going to put this down into place, push forward, and it's ready to go. Now I can lock any board in place that's from this wide all the way to down here. And if I want to do it quickly, I can simply squeeze on this and slide it down, or I can pull it tightly by gripping here, and you can see this start to move. But what a great feature to have already as a part of your sawhorses. We will be using this feature today as we show our cutting test. A feature that I realized you could do with this out of necessity is that you can also use these vertically. So for example, if I need this, I can slide it in to any point that I want. Now I can pivot this up, pull this down, make sure it goes down as far as it'll go. And now I can actually use this to hold something in this direction. It's not something you're going to use every day, but it is nice to know that it's possible. Another reason that I was really happy to get these is they're so easy to store. To put it away, all I do is put one finger through one of these holes in the top, I lift up, and everything gets very flat. They're also very lightweight, which is amazing considering that these can support up to 1,000 pounds a pair. Now, these aren't going to replace a permanent workstation or workbench if you have room for that. But for someone like me who doesn't have room, this is the perfect solution. And while basic sawhorses without the clamp are also useful, this feature right here is the thing I find using all of the time. And you'll see that something like this can become very important. Otherwise, like I said earlier, if I'm just leaning over a trash can and cutting something, it's the same idea. But if you have something that helps you lock things into place, it's a much better option. Here's a close-up look at the chopper or the WORX mini cutter. So I'm going to show you all the features in details. There's actually only 2 buttons on the entire thing, so it's really easy to use. There's really not much thinking required to turn it on. So I am going to show you how to change the blade. I'm going to show you this first. This is the hand guard, and this is adjustable. So if I'm cutting in a downward motion right now, this is where I'd like to have this guard. However, if for some reason I need to be cutting upward at a different angle, there's little grooved lines on the edge of the hand guard. Whenever I start messing with the hand guard or changing the blade, I always make sure to remove the battery. You don't want to accidentally turn this thing on while your hand is anywhere near that blade. Safety first. So I have the battery removed. If I want to change this, I just simply push down on the edge here, and now I can rotate that, and it goes in clicks, so you can get that perfect angle that you want. So right now I could be cutting straight up and down. Most of the time when I use this, I find myself using a downward motion. Now you do get several different blades included, and this one is an all metal blade. The rest of these are not. These are just traditional, but you'll notice that the thickness is different. So depending on what you're working with will determine which one of these you're going to use. The included battery is a 20-volt battery, and one of the things I love about batteries that have this option is you always know whether or not you have a full charge because you can just tap that button. To charge it is super simple. It includes the charger that you just plug into the wall, and all you got to do is take this, line up the slide, and click it into place. And there's going to be an indicator here so you know when it is fully charged. Once it's fully charged, you simply push the button again, slide them apart, and you're ready to go. Now, before I connect the battery, I want to show you how to change out the blade because when this comes, there will be no blade on it in the first place. So if you take the included Allen wrench and you start to try to unscrew this, you're going to notice that you will be doing this for hours and hours and nothing happens. That's because you need to hit the stop button, which is this red button. So if you put some pressure on that and then start to turn this, you will notice that that button actually clicks all the way into place, locking this in place so that you can easily unscrew it. Now, what I like to do is I'll unscrew this all the way, but I keep that washer, that thick washer on the screw just to keep those together. I think that's the easier way for me to do it. I keep those together and then I will remove the blade like so. Now, when you're putting it back together, there's 2 different approaches you can take. One is you can put the blade on first and then you can screw it in. For some reason, I always find myself putting the screw through the blade first and then putting it on. I don't know if one way is better or not, but I will say this, before you can screw this all the way down, you'll see that little silver lip sticking up. You need the blade to go over top of that. So you got to kind of wiggle it. And once it does, you'll notice you can't see it anymore. It's completely flat. And now you're free to screw it in all the way. Just make sure you press that button so that it locks and does not move. And now we're good to go. Once you put the battery on, there are 2 options to control this. You can either push up and it'll turn on and you can let go. Or if you want to put it in a lock, like a power lock where you turn it on and it just stays on without you having to press, you can press up and then press again, but kind of roll your thumb to the top and that'll lock it to the on position. To unlock that, you simply push on the bottom and it'll turn off. Now I'm going to turn this on and I have another microphone here. The one I'm talking through has noise canceling. This one does not, so you should be able to hear how loud this is. And I also brought a decibel meter so we can see exactly how loud it is. So here we go. And that's as loud as it gets. And in my opinion, that's not too bad at all. Of course, it's going to be a lot more loud as we start to cut through, especially through the copper. And I got my trusty decibel meter here. So I'll be quiet for a second so we can get a room reading in a quiet room. 33. And now we're going to turn this on. I'm pretty close to it too. I saw it go from 77 all the way up to 79. So it's not super loud, but it is louder than a quiet room for certain. Next, we're gonna take this outside and start cutting. All right, for our first test, there's me using the shelf, by the way. We're gonna use the thin, pretty thin PVC, and we're gonna use the clamp to hold that nice and snug in place. And let's test this out. Here we go. And as you can see, it cut through that just like butter. Next up is the copper coupling. I should have got a longer piece of copper because this is going to be super close to the edge. But this thing does do a good job of holding things very tightly in place. As you can see, it cut through that with zero problem, but the copper did get very, very hot. Finally, we're gonna test out this very thick piece of PVC. Well, not thick in this way, but you can see the walls are actually pretty thick on that. Fortunately, this piece is big enough to let us use both sawhorses combined. So we're just gonna cut this one right through the center in between the sawhorses. And we cut through. I did get a piece of the label flying off. That's why I stopped for a moment. But as you can see, it made a very nice cut right through the thick PVC with no problem whatsoever. As you can see, this does a fantastic job cutting. Don't make the mistake that I made. I just was not thinking. You always want to remove the label, remove the sticker before use. Otherwise, you have an incident like I had where the paper like got caught and it spun around and went flying and freaked me out and everything was bad. So take that sticker off, that's important. What I love about this combo with the sawhorses and the WORX cutter is that it just makes it a small little place feel very useful. Having to cut through something is something I find myself needing to do very often, and I always do it on the end of a trash can. I'm not doing that anymore. I have these horses, they've got clamps, I've got a very powerful cutter, and I'm all set. I think my favorite part of the sawhorses are the fact that they have clamps, because without those clamps, there's no way I would have been able to cut through that little piece of copper. I will add that that little piece of copper got super hot, and the pads that squeeze on it got very hot too. They got super soft. They even left little marks on the copper tubing, which that's kind of scary. So generally, if you're cutting copper, I would have that copper be further away from where the clamps are. If you happen to already own some tools from WORX, this battery should be compatible with those as well, which is kind of great. One drawback that I will say about this tool is that the blades are only 3 inches. So once you're cutting, you probably noticed while I was cutting, if the pipe was this thick, once the pipe would get to where the screw was, I couldn't cut to the other side. So I would get stuck here, and then I had to actually rotate, which can make it a little bit uncomfortable. If you need to cut through something that's thicker than that, you know, that's only 1 inch that you're cutting, 1 inch deep, then you might want to either rotate, you know, cut as much as you can, stop, rotate the pipe or whatever you're cutting, and then cut from there, or use a larger version of this, which you can't do with this because this is only going to hold this size. So for small jobs, just having this around the house, I love this. I love that it's battery operated. It's a grab and go and ready to go. So I think this is awesome. I love the sawhorses. I highly recommend both. If you'd like to grab the chopper or the sawhorses, there are links in the description below. Please do me a favor and hit like on this video, and don't forget to subscribe to my channel. Thank you so much for watching.